As my mother would say, hey, sports fans, welcome to your Daily Detroit for Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, episode number 358. I'm Sven Gustafsson.
And I'm Jer Stays. And Sven, I cannot believe how many episodes we're getting through now, just chewing up.
358 is a high number.
Well, in a novel twist, today's episode is devoted entirely to Sportsball. We bounce between extremes. Detroit City FC notches its biggest win of the year, setting them up for a championship. And to talk all about it, of course, soccer correspondent Fletcher Sharpe. But we will start with the Detroit Lions. They lost to the Green Bay Packers last night on Monday Night Football in front of the entire nation in a game everybody is talking about. And whatever you think of it, it was kind of somehow a very Lions outcome.
Spanning
Detroit.
to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
That's all coming up right after this.
Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers more than 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track, and most classes are conveniently offered evenings at LTU's beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Find out more at ltu.edu. That's ltu.edu.
Well, we don't often talk about the Detroit Lions on this podcast. In fact, Jer, I don't think we ever have.
Sportsball is not usually our lane, but
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
A lane presented itself, shall we say.
Especially after last night.
Yeah. So today is an exception. We are going to talk about the Lions. Yes, the Lions dropped another football game. It was a Monday night football game, mind you, last night, losing 23-22 on a late field goal to the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Shocker, I know.
Well, Sven, the real news is that terrible officiating by the referees. It's not just Lions fans griping about the bad calls, though. There were some clearly blown calls seen by everyone across the nation. There are papers across the country writing about this. Several people said that NFL refereeing is just broken. Former Lions great Barry Sanders even broke his poker face silence to criticize the refs. Here's what Barry Sanders had to say. That is sickening. The NFL needs to look at a way to prevent that from happening. 2 phantom hands to the face calls really hurts us tonight. Yes, we could have scored TDs, but Lions played too well to have the game end this way.
Washington Post even did a story about the officiating controversy.
And the fact that it's going to be brought up with the owners' meetings, which is a pretty big deal. I mean, in the NFL, you need the owners to make any changes.
I don't understand because clearly some of these plays they reviewed. They reviewed the one penalty. Sorry, not the penalty, but the catch that they reversed and called it an incomplete pass on Kerryon Johnson. They reviewed that. Why can't they review?
I don't
other
think
stuff?
that's in the rules to do penalty calls.
Sounds like their rules need a redo.
Well, there's been a lot of messing with the rules lately. I am a Lions fan. I have watched them for a long time. You know, I think I'm just a glutton for punishment, but it was tough to watch this one.
So I kind of caught up with the game on Twitter in real time. I saw like a lot of the outrage and people complaining about the refereeing. I have to just kind of preface this by saying I've never really been a fan of the NFL, to be honest with you. I grew up in Ann Arbor, grew up watching Michigan play, went to games at Michigan Stadium. I've always preferred the college game. I think it's more fun. I find the NFL kind of boring, frankly. And I have just never really bothered to get into the Lions because frankly, why would I? Looking from the outside in, it's like, well, that's just like an exercise in self-punishment, right? I mean, it's like there's something masochistic about being a Lions fan to me, I guess.
Well, at least being a Michigan fan, you've won sometime in the past.
Right. I mean, it's painful now, but I digress. Anyway, as we alluded, fans are pointing to what they say are 4 big blown calls by the referees in this game. And I think you and I, Jer, are in agreement on 3 of these, right?
Yeah, 2 calls against defensive lineman Trey Flowers for illegal hands to the face. One of them changed things from a 4th down punting situation to a 1st down. And right after the Packers scored a TD. And that is just a important play because it narrowed the Lions' lead to 2 points, making things within field goal distance. The other led to the winning field goal.
Both replays showed that the hands were not to the face; they were like near his throat, the top of the jersey, basically.
What was that shoulder pad, right? So to me, it's all about consistency. So I actually used to be a baseball umpire, and the saying always was for the game, whatever your strike zone is going to be consistent, and then people can get to it and play the game appropriately. But those plays, you see them all over the NFL. That was clearly in the shoulders.
Mm-hmm. The third, I guess here, call that we're in agreement on is a blown pass interference call against Green Bay that ended up forcing the Lions to punt. Now, I will say that in real time, it didn't necessarily looked like a well-defended play, but in the replays clearly showed that the Green Bay defender, knocked the Lions receiver off of his stride, clearly interfered with his ability to catch the ball. Blatant pass interference.
If you're going to call the other ones, why aren't you going to call this one? It goes back to that consistency.
Yeah, force the Lions to punt once again. But I think where we split with a lot of fans is on the fourth call. And I mean, we're not going sequentially here, but this is the first down catch and run by Kerryon Johnson. He appeared to have fumbled the ball at the end of it, and it kind of skidded around on the turf and then went out of bounds. Would have been a Lions first down, but they reviewed the play and called it an incomplete pass, said that he never had possession. To me, looking at the replay, it looked fairly legit to me. I'm not sure where everyone is getting this whole notion that, he, possessed the ball and took 3 steps with it. That's the rule. And I just didn't see it. I think he really never had possession of that ball.
Well, I think it just comes down to frustration. Anything that's close, it feels like it's a crapshoot whether or not the Lions are going to get a fair shake. And for years, I don't know if it's the curse, so to speak, of Bobby Lane that it's supposed to be over, but apparently it's very much not. I don't know what the deal is, but over the years, the Lions have just gotten the bad side of so many calls. So anything that's close, it's kind of like, well, why,
Yeah. I mean, to me, look, the Lions didn't do enough to win this game and put the game out of reach. I know Lambeau Field's a tough place to play. Green Bay is tough. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, all that stuff. But they simply couldn't score touchdowns. I mean, you brought up the comparison with Jason Hansen, right? Back in the days when he was the Lions offensive MVP.
Matt Prater was a busy man on Monday night.
How many field goals did he have last night? A billion?
Yeah, $1.5 billion.
Yeah. They couldn't score touchdowns. I mean, if they had scored 1 touchdown instead of kicked a field goal, they would have won that game. Bottom line, the Lions just always find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Well, this is a situation where I think there's 2 things that are true. It's true that the refs didn't do a good job.
For sure.
But it's also true that the Lions didn't seal the deal. And a great team seals the deal. They go past these things. Other teams get bad calls against them. Now, I feel like the Lions do get more than usual, but the team needs to step up. And earlier this year, we were talking about, undefeated and all that kind of stuff, even though there was the tie or whatever. But, they're at the bottom of the NFC North now.
Yeah, absolutely. Leaving them little wiggle room the rest of the season going forward. We agree that there was some bad refereeing. Everybody agrees, but you can't blame refereeing for your inability to win football games. You just can't. That's just a terrible excuse.
I'm with you. The thing is that hurts about this loss, not only was it on a national stage, not only the referees, but it's never good to lose to divisional rivals, especially those as strong as Green Bay. And that doesn't put us in a good stead for the future of the season.
No. And, I've often said it, and, this game puts an underline on it, that the Lions just, to me, have always just seemed jinxed. I mean, you mentioned the Bobby Lane curse, right? I mean, it just feels like there really is a curse on this franchise. It's always one thing or another with them, but the Lions to me are like a place where coaching prospects go to basically euthanize their career prospects moving forward, right? It's like a coach's graveyard. I don't know why anybody, frankly, would want to come to Detroit and take that job. It's just the Lions mystify me, and I don't understand how people can be such diehard fans of them, frankly.
I mean, it's fun to go to games.
Now on to more positive news about a Detroit sports team that's actually excelling. Detroit City FC sit alone atop the NPSL Members Cup standing after beating the New York Cosmos 2-1 in New York on Saturday. The win over the previously unbeaten Cosmos leaves City free and clear atop the standings with 22 points and 2 games remaining, while New York is on 19 points in second place with just a single game left to play. And joining us to talk about that is our soccer correspondent, Fletcher Sharpe. Fletcher, first of all, I got to congratulate you. You nailed it on the prediction. You predicted a 2-1 win on the road for City.
Yeah, they don't really call me Fletcher Nostradamus for nothing, so.
I guess not. So let's talk about this game a little bit here. City went ahead in the 8th minute on a goal from Cyrus Sadie. They were up 2-0 before halftime after Yazid Matthews scored on a set piece. The Cosmos didn't find the back of the net until late in the match. So, I mean, was this game ever really in doubt?
Not really, no. I'm sure there were some people on the edge of their seats. But after they got that first goal, which was a lovely play, Yazid Matthews got a ball near the net and flicked it back out to Cyrus Sadie, who took one outside step and just one-timed it into the top right corner. After that, they packed it in. Detroit, I don't want to say they knew, but they were aware that the Cosmos probably were a bit more tricky on the outsides than them. So a way to neutralize that, once you get a lead, is to pack it in defensively so that they have to come directly at you. There is no, if they go sideways or they go backwards, it doesn't affect you at all. But if they were to go directly at you and you're packed it in, like, you have more of a defensive shape. And it just forced the Cosmos to kind of have to press a bit more. Plus, the Cosmos knew if they did not win that game, the chances of them winning the title would be very hard. And it'd be the third time that they joined a tournament or a league this season that they had their sights set on going far in and winning, and they didn't. The NPSL league championship, the U.S. Open Cup, and now this, and they've like let all three of those like slip away in like not the best way. So once they got down 1-0 early, I figured it was kind of, that might be it. And when Detroit added the second one, that was really just the dagger. Because while the Cosmos put a lot of pressure on Detroit, I saw clips of some of the game. They were putting a lot of pressure, taking a lot of shots that were close. They just couldn't finish. There's one play in particular. One of their star players, Junior Burgos, dribbled between like four people in the middle and had like a nice, good chance to shoot. And for some reason opted to like try to like roll it into the net, and he rolled it like a good 4 feet wide. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing at that point. You're down 2-0. But
so meanwhile, what does the win mean for City's title hopes in the Members Cup?
The Cosmos play Napa Valley, so that's most likely going to be a win. Detroit has the Michigan Stars up next, who are very much trying to make it known that they are also a professional team in Michigan. So all they really need to do is tie. Mathematically, all they need to do is tie one of these last two games, and then they win. If they don't, then it goes to goal differential, and I think Detroit has a higher goal differential than New York. But yeah, if they don't, it goes to goal differential. You don't want to say something's in the bag, because soccer's a really weird sport. Detroit could lose both these next two games horrifically. Not likely to happen, but they could. So yeah, it's like an 85-90% chance that they add some hardware to their trophy case.
So the Michigan Stars game that you mentioned is Wednesday. That's at Ultimate Soccer up in Pontiac, and then City come back and close out the Members Cup and their 2019 campaign at Keyworth on Saturday when they host the Milwaukee Torrent. Meanwhile, Fletcher, saw a lot of buzz from the Northern Guard supporters group people on social media about a former Detroit rival up the road in Lansing, the Ignite FC. Reports say they may be folding after their first season in the USL 1 division. Is that right?
League One, yep.
What's the deal?
Lansing Ignite started from Lansing United, an NPSL team. Really, really competitive. I've had one of the best forwards I've seen in the NPSL, and Matt Brown. Only played, I think, 2 years, but he was prolific. He was scoring goals left and right. I think in 11 games, he had like 21 goals. They moved from the NPSL to the USL League 2 to play with the Bucks before the Bucks became the Flint City Bucks. And they actually did really well in their time in the League 2. So their owner decided that he wanted to get a professional team in Lansing. He wanted it to be Lansing United. Some people for the Lansing Lugnuts decided to pitch him an idea, and he came back and told his board, Lansing will have a professional team. And everyone got excited, and he's like, actually, it's going to be Lansing Ignite. Everyone said, oh, that kind of stinks, but it's cool. He's like, in order for me to do this, Lansing United has to go. So he axed the men's program entirely. It's still a women's team, but axed the men's program entirely to become the general manager for Lansing Ignite. Come to find out, They were talking about they were hitting their gate of 4,000 people per game. It was maybe half that most games. I know they had a few games where they had a lot of attendance, but they were inflating their numbers horrifically.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner of the Ignite, not the guy who came from the United, but the owner of Ignite was just like, I don't want to lose money like that. I think I'm good. So after they lost to Greenville Triumph in the national semifinals of League One, they went very, very silent on all social media accounts, which is really weird because the person I mentioned is a very active person on social media. So for him to be silent for 2-3 days while people are literally saying, hey, is your team folded? Did your team fold? Is really uncanny.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate for the people of Lansing. I wasn't a big fan of the Ignite, but I did see the few people who did go did enjoy what they did for the community. I know a lot of people who were invested in Lansing United were not pleased with the way the Ignite were going about stuff, especially earlier in the season. They had a few PR snafus with a player yelling something to a crowd member he shouldn't have yelled. It's sad. You don't ever want to see a team fold after a year. It's really not good for soccer in the state, even if you're not a fan of the team.
All right, Fletcher, thanks so much for giving us your soccer knowledge again. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Before we let you go, I wanted to tell you that we're going to be on Detroit Public Television's One Detroit again this week with new info on the state's plan to remove I-375. That's that spur of freeway near downtown Detroit.
You can check that out Thursday night at 7:30 on your local PBS station and also on Sunday morning.
You look good by the freeway, man. That was a well done stand up, my friend.
You know, they call me Sven Hollywood Gustafson.
I'm sure they don't. It's gotten people and one thing I will say though is that this one has really gotten people talking. We haven't even revealed the whole story. I wanted to play the 30-second teaser, so here you go.
In the heart of the Motor City lies a freeway that's old and in the way. I-375 forms a barrier between Greektown and the Lafayette Park neighborhood. The bridges need repair, and the concrete is crumbling.
How to fix that? Shut it down and fill it in. Freeway removal. Maybe a radical notion to some, but this could all be gone, and pretty soon.
And that'll do it for today's show, friends. Remember, Daily Detroit is also people-powered. You can help push Detroit's conversation forward at patreon.com/dailydetroit. I'm Sven Gustafson.
And I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.